Time to get moving.
The National Railway Museum is on the move once again, though this time on a much smaller scale. Join us for a day in the life looking at the maintenance, the modelling, and the mishaps.
Oh dear.
This is Running the Model Railway. Running 362 days a year, the Model Railway is a staple of the museum and has been entertaining and educating visitors for over 40 years. But overseeing operations today is gallery support technician Andrew.
Well, this part of the layout was started in about 1981 by the first education officer for the museum, a man called David Jenkinson. He was a renowned modeller in that period. He wanted it to be a way of showing the public how the railways used to be historically, but also what purposes they served: the movement of coal, the movement of people, the movement of animals, all the sort of things the railways would have done when they were first developed. It represents a bit of the Settle to Carlisle line, and hence the scenery is a bit sort of plain and bleak. Gives it that sort of North Pennines feel to it. As time has gone on, we've used modern scenic methods, changed the scenery very slightly to update and upgrade it. The majority of the rolling stock is what has been donated, bought for the railway over a period of years since it started. And what we try to do is ensure that a train represents a particular period. In railway terms nowadays, they're known as eras. For somebody modelling today, the track would be simplified a great deal more. York Station now only has two main lines literally running through it, whereas at one time it would have had four main lines running through it. And modellers seek to model whichever era they're in, try to follow the correct practices. Generally, we run trains anywhere between about 1895 and 1965. We don't move further on than 1965. The scenery doesn't lend itself to modern trains.
To keep everything moving and running on time, the team must ensure the track and the rolling stock is clean. And volunteer Steve is the man for the job.
Hi, my name's Steve Howland and I volunteer at the National Railway Museum on the Model Railway. You're in the workshop area where we do all the maintenance. It's not a very big room, but as you can see all around are all the locos. On a shelf up here, this is, we call it, it's the graveyard. If it doesn't work, it goes on here. On the shelves over here are all the locos that should work. If it's got a green tag on it, it's good to go. If it's got a red tag on it, it's broken. You wouldn't think that behind all the glass that the locos would get dirty, but they get very, very dirty. And it's an interaction between the track and the wheels, and you get electrical sparking, and this creates carbon, and this carbon has to be cleaned off. If you do not clean it off, what happens is the locos will stop, and they can stop anywhere. And when they stop, they always tend to stop in the most inaccessible place, which is a bit of a pain, but hey ho, that's how it goes.
In order to clear the track of any dirt, Steve enlists the help of a little friend.
This is what we call a CMX wagon. We use this to clean the track. It's a big brass tube full of isopropyl alcohol, which dissolves the carbon on the track. The first pad picks up the carbon, the second pad actually cleans the track. To actually get the fluid out, we open a vent on this here, and then we open the next valve. There's a little drip of fluid coming out. This wets this pad here. When it gets suitably wet, we will put it on the track. So now we get one of the locomotives off the shelf, one that works, obviously. Place that on the track, get the tweezers. Connect it up. And that's the train ready to go. So I just have to bob back in here now and switch the controller across. So now, off she goes. We set it to a reasonable speed, and that will now just go round and round the track until I've said it's had enough, which is about 10 laps.
With the CMX wagon on the track, Steve gets to work on the wheels of a locomotive.
Now it comes to cleaning. We have a cleaning tray, locomotive goes in it upside down, and what we're going to do is clean the wheels. You can't see it, they're not too bad today, but they get covered in carbon. So we have to get rid of that, because if we don't, it impedes the electrical flow from the track into the loco, and it will either stop or it will stutter. And when it starts stuttering, it's a pain. So what we do is we turn on the power to the meter, and we have a cable here, and through there is roughly 12 volts. And what we do is we put that onto the wheels. We get them spinning, and we can alter the speed if we want, but we tend to nice and slow. In here we have isopropyl alcohol with cotton wool buds, which we use for the cleaning. So what we do is I just gently wet each wheel. So what we do is clean them with one. I also clean the backs of the wheels, because the pickups, the electrical pickups for the locomotive are situated down in the bottom here. So that's one. We go through quite a few of these buds, and I'll clean it until I'm satisfied with the colour of the last one, because there's still more coming off. I can't get at that one, so we'll turn it around. We do the same, put the power on the other wheels. I can do any of the wheels because they've all got power on. Again, we'll do this set of wheels here. We'll do there at the flanges, behind the wheels where the pickups are, because they get very dirty. Be careful not to press too hard, because we don't want to strip the gearbox. And they're not looking too bad now. It is actually quite clean today. So I'm happy with that. That should run now. All today and all tomorrow. And Sunday, hopefully. And that's it. That's how we clean a loco.
Whilst the layout represents a certain point in history, the technology that makes it run has come right up to the modern day.
The old control systems used to be manually operated, and you used to turn a knob and increase the voltage and the train would run faster. You turn the knob back and the train would run slower. Obviously we can't have somebody here controlling the trains all day long with a controller like that. We do have an option to override from time to time if we need to, but what we use now is modern technology to automatically run the trains. We don't even have to switch the model railway on now. I can come in at 10 o'clock and find that it has started. It starts with a timer and it will run till 5 o'clock and switch off with the timer. And as long as there isn't a derailment or a locomotive fail, it will run continuously in that 7-hour period. The electronics do give us opportunity to do different things. We can have delays. We have on the shuttle services, we have a delay at either end where the train waits, and hopefully it waits a realistic time period before it sets off again. To my knowledge, there's not another model railway layout in this country that runs as much as this without major intervention.
Although the layout has been running for over 40 years, there's always improvements to be made. The team hope that the latest edition will get visitors closer to the action, and overseeing the installation is gallery service technician Marty.
as part of our role here, it's to develop new things for the whole museum, but also here in the actual model railway itself. And one of the things we want to do is to put a trackside camera in. So a little camera that will give the visitors an opportunity to, as it were, come and see the model railway from literally the side of the rails. So what we need to do is, I've built this tiny little, well, it's a little kind of, it's like a little shed. And inside the shed, if I take the lid off, I have mounted a camera, the sort that you have in your mobile phone. And on the inside, there's a little printed circuit board. And then attached to that is this thin ribbon cable. And the first job will be to drill through the baseboard, feed the ribbon cable through, and then attach it to the tiny little computer inside. And all of that has to happen underneath the model railway. Right, so first things first. This is, it's actually a tiny little Raspberry Pi Zero, that's running all of this. And then the camera cable will come down through the ceiling and plug itself into there, and then that produces a video feed which runs off down that cable, and that goes to a television screen mounted between the rooms so that the public can see that and they can, as it were, get right next to the track. First thing though is drilling a hole in the ceiling. Right, so we have a hole in the baseboard now. That went quite well. Now I need to fit this tiny little sort of mounting piece up top, screw that down, and then feed this thin cable through the hole and plug it in. And then there's a little back piece that slides in, and then a little roof that goes on that way around. That's it, camera installed.
After connecting the cables and some last-minute tinkering, the trackside camera is ready to roll.
Here we are in the nerve centre. This is where we've got information about all the trains that are here, the locomotives that are in store, and the locomotives and trains that are actually out on the track. This is where we're able to monitor derailments that occasionally happen, but very rarely. Oh dear, we've had a derailment.
To clear the track, Andrew comes in with some serious equipment.
It's difficult to put the trains back on the track with these, but it's a case of lifting them out the way of the main line. Now that one's uncoupled, so that's handy. I'll just put that back. See if I can uncouple this one. I don't like to handle the locomotives with the claws. Probably be able to reach the locomotive through from the other side now. At least they're standing upright. Right, that's okay. So we should be ready to run again now. If we have a derailment, normally it's a case of going out to see what's derailed, putting it back onto the tracks and ensuring that it runs safely again. Sometimes we get damage occur following a derailment, particularly if we have a derailment and a train collides with one going the opposite way, we get damage that occurs. broken buffers. Sometimes we have damage to the cabs. It's a case of taking that locomotive off, finding a serviceable loco to replace it, and then carrying out repairs.
So we'll give this one, oh dear. This is the issues that we have.
And much like the real thing, these locos are quite heavy, so they can do a bit of damage when they collide with something.
It's not just new technology that's been added to the layout, and not every addition to the model railway requires computer assistance. When it comes to modelling, the old ways are the best.
We used plywood shapes to get the contours of the land. This is actually a hatch that was made for access to the railway, but not used. But they put plywood in contoured shapes to give the shape of the land. And then chicken wire was laid over the top, stapled all the way around. And then they'd use a plaster of Paris bandage. This is a typical piece of plaster of Paris that's been cut up. And the way that we would normally use it, the way it was used in the past, dip it into a bit of water. It will be a bit messy, so I won't do very much of it. And then the plaster of Paris bandage is laid on the surface and smoothed out. They build up a couple of layers and the plaster will come out of the bandage, joined together. The more layers you put on, the smoother you get it, but the more layers you put on, the heavier it gets. The next thing we do is we paint over the plaster of Paris with domestic household emulsion. One of the things that's really useful for this is these little tester pots. This is a particular brown colour. You go to the big stores and get tester pots. There's plenty of this for doing a piece of scenery this sort of size, whatever effect you're looking for. And you get lots of different colours, mix them up, mix them with white paint, which will thin it down and lighten it down. Unless you're doing deep shadows, you don't want it too dark, it wants to be reasonably light. When the model railway layout was being built, the best sort of stuff that they had in those days was sawdust and dyed sawdust. This is just plain sawdust. And again, we paint the surface with a bit of the dilute PVA and then scatter this sawdust on. And what we've moved on to today is these finer materials, and they come in lots of different colours, but they're nearly all more natural colours. It literally comes out and you lay it on top of a bit of diluted PVA wood adhesive on here. And just shake a bit on, like that. This device is a static grass applicator, and this is one of the more modern treatments. We have to find a place for an earth, so we'll stick it onto the chicken wire. And in the hopper here on the top, I've got a small quantity of static grass. The static grass comes in lots and lots of different shades, similar to this blocking material that we use. And then we turn it on, literally top it over the top and shake it. And the nylon grass particles are charged, they're polarised, so they stand up on end, making it look like real grass. You can already see it's looking a bit more grassy, and that is literally the way that we make the scenery, the way that we repair the scenery. The newer scenery will all be done with modern materials to make it look that much better, bring it more up to date. The model railways have been in my blood for a long time. It's a fantastic layout. A lot of good friendly people here to help with it, and I just love the way that the visitors enjoy it.
As part of my duties, I get to play with model railway trains, which is quite a privilege really.
My main volunteering role here was on the miniature railway outside the back end of Station Hall, but once COVID came, I wanted to do something still here, so said, can I come to the Model Railway? And I've been doing Friday now for probably 4 years. But I enjoy it. And I think once the miniature railway comes back online, I think I'm going to stay in here. I just enjoy it. The other thing, it's a lot warmer during the winter.
If you'd like information about volunteering at the National Railway Museum, please check the description below. And for more videos like this, please like and subscribe.